Hello, hello, hello. So we're back here. We're going to be working on that little boat that I was starting yesterday, that rescue boat. So let's just check in with chat. How's it going? MCFS Gamer, Tactical Hungarian, Sander, how are you? Seeing what you guys say in chat. Working on some hulls, I see. So I'm going to start, continue to work on this little rescue boat. So yesterday, the rescue boat was coming along nicely. So go ahead and continue on here. So I'm digging the size, the shape. It's coming along well. Performance is pretty good so far. Want to keep this kind of on the less complex side. So let's start trying to get this a little bit upgraded, panels, stuff like that. So might go flat panels here. Let's see, flat front here. I think I'm gonna go flat. That way I can put some paneling to my sides. Maybe step this helm back one. Not sure. I think we'll step the helm back one. Like so. And we'll start working on this stuff. Yeah. Alright. So I'm digging that. Curious if I can do something, so let's try something here. Let's try something. Yep, we can do that. Wedge in the compass like that. That'd be interesting for a backup compass. So, we need to get this set up so I can do some rescues. So, put some seating in here. And I might put some seat backs on here. Let's try that out, see how we like that. If I can find where I'm at. There we go. Nope, can't do seat backs. That's fine because they'd be interfere with the helm. So 4 seats there for rescued peoples. I think there's. Trying to see if I can slim this out a little bit. What are you there? Okay, I can cut that all the way out. Nice. So that's the only one I can't cut out. So that's actually trim that up nicely. Beautiful. So that cuts in even better. Nice. I'm digging that. Alright, so we have physics sensors, so we're going to need speed, we're going to need a bunch of things in there. I'm trying to say what I need. Definitely. Let's put the bearing panel in here. Let's do that. So we can navigate. So this is from the bearing panel tutorial. So if you want to add this, you can go and grab that off of the workshop rather. I'm going to add in probably my monitor for it, so we'll do that at some point. Physics sensor can go. Let's get rid of the symmetry here. Physics sensor and battery can go for now. Keypad we're going to need. The keypad can go right here, I think. There we go. Stick that up. That's going to interfere with the window. I'm going to try to do an exterior. Let's try to put the windows in the exterior, see what that looks like for me here. So let's cut you. Let's try windows like this. There's really no reason why I can't do this, and this will let us put more stuff on the dash. Puts a little bit more of a bezel, but it's not an obscene amount of bezel. If we put the center one out there, need a block for that one to work. Alright, digging that. And then we should be able to put this in there now. There we go. That'll be part of the nav system. Alright, good. And then we'll put in heading hold here, probably. There we go. And I think is the Lua in here for the screen is the question mark, is the question. Nope, I didn't put the Lua in here, so that's fine. We'll figure out how we want to read this out here a little bit. Maybe at some point we'll work on some Lua. I just want that in there to start with, and then we're gonna need speed and heading. Let's see. Definitely need speed, heading. Could play with some Lua for a little bit. Let's play with some Lua for a little bit, and not great at Lua, but we'll play with it a little bit. Try to get something in there. The only way I'm gonna get better is just play with it a little bit. So let's see. So I'm just going to Pony IDE. Makes it a little bit easier to see what we're working on here. Alright, so let's see. I haven't played with this in a while, so. UI builder, I need to figure out the monitor size. Monitor, let's see. Okay. Try a 3x1. Okay, we'll zoom that in. Enable touchscreen. I'm not great with this, so we have to kind of play. We have to play here. What do I want in here? Speed, compass. Could read out all the bearing information on here. The right one. Good Lord. Figured out how to change color on this. So that will go on top of that, but I need to change the color, so I think rectangle setup. Rectangle maybe? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so there's a color. Put a little bit of a backdrop on there. Big build. I'm going to be working on Triton, but that's about it. Big stuff. Triton's a lot of work, so. Going to take a bunch for that. Let me see what I want there. Switch indicator light, indicator speed. We already have one. Graph. Just kind of looking at my options here. What do we have here? Background is 27, 29, 29. 27, 29. was that doing that? 27, 29, 29, huh? 27, 29, 29. And then you're just as black as black can get there, I think. 0, 0, 0. Okay. Border width 2. Okay. And then I'll manually place things on top of that. See if I can. I can't remember if I can properly copy these things here. I don't think I can. That's, I can't remember if I can properly copy these things. That's the issue. What's this one? 27, 29, 29. We'll just make it, yeah, 27, 29, 29. Alright, so that'll be the kind of the setup. I'm working on a information display for this boat. So let's see. There's text. Label. There's label. Okay. Heading. I think if I want to manually put that in later. Try to just do the backdrop on this, and then I'll go in and manually put in text later. I think that's what I'll do. So we'll delete that for now. Alright, so let's see. Generate Lua code. Alright. We'll start with this. Alright. Alright, so there's the Lua code. And let's see what I need. I need to get, why do I have those? P1, P2. Okay, P1, P2. Okay. Let's see where we're at here. So here's the text right here. Screen draw text. Okay. You see where I'm putting that text in here. All right. Do that for now. Alright, so that's a little bit of work on that, and then I want to get back into getting this. Starts with some paint. Let's do some paint here. Start doing some of that stuff. Yeah, it's a, that's Pony IDE. It's an IDE, which is kind of a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. I'm not great with Lua, so, you know, I'll get back to it. But I'm trying to get better, so I just need to practice with it. Just kind of rarely am I in the mood to do Lua, which is unfortunate because it would be helpful to do some. Okay, so there's our water line. And then I want to go, I kind of have a rescue color I like. It's kind of rescue orange. And then do we have my underskin? I think it's this color. There we go. My anti-fouling paint. So you don't get barnacles on the hull. Love it if somebody would do like a really comprehensive Lua tutorial. Would be nice. Put some scuppers in here in a second. change this up too later if I don't like it. Put it on there for now. I have better green for decking color. I just need to change it. And this is going. I was just checking, make sure the weight was going the right direction, which it is. So I want my contrast colors to be here. Change a bunch of this up if I need to, but I just want to kind of get something in there, and I can always color swap it out later. Maybe I don't put scuppers on this one, I don't know. Maybe try without scuppers on this one. They look a little bit big because it's not that big of a boat, so I might go no scuppers on this one. The outlook's in game. Deck's a little bit too dark, and the teal's a little bit too dark. So I'm trying to, let's save this really quick. There. I can't pick up Triton right here, so let's switch bases. Need to be able to grab colors off other builds. Let's check some chat. How's it going there, Miles? What's happening? Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying it. Thank you, Miles. Yeah, I thought about maybe a submarine for moving liquid would be interesting. Did you got idea from Neotastic? No. What idea is that? Talking to me or talking to somebody in chat? There, MSCF gamer. I am making a rescue boat. Why want this site to know my IP address and visited sites? I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a Lua generator. Boat's coming along. Just kind of started doing a couple seconds on Lua, just playing with it for a second, and then, you know, it's hard for me to get in to enjoy getting into Lua. I would like a proper tutorial for somebody to do, like comprehensive tutorial, so that would be nice if somebody would do that. But I was going to do it with Rasmus at some point. I'm just not feeling it recently, so at some point I'll do it, but I'm not really feeling it right now. Let's color swap that deck there. And then let's try... That's better. I'm liking that. A little bit lighter. It's like, get out of there, whatever you are. Material storage nonsense. Stuck on the deck there. That's good. Digging on that. That's a good... Go get it out in the sun a little bit. I'm liking that color schemes. Working. I might down gear it another gear, I don't know. I like the compass there, how it's inlaid in the dash. Do a digital compass up top as well. Liking the color scheme. Color schemes looks pretty good. Like the overall shaping. Size, space is pretty good in here, so we'll have seating for 4. Might put some corners in here just to kind of round it out a little bit. But coming along. Happy with the performance of this. Yeah, it's like, you know, I like a tutorial how I make them, you know. Be comprehensive, go in each detail, and if you want to go through the, you know, if you want to go through the bookmarks and skip ahead to an area, you can. You know, that's, very few people are making comprehensive tutorials, and I think that's the way to do it. You know, it's, the way I do mine is how, you know, you'd have a college course. And you go through, you have a comprehensive understanding of it, and lo and behold, you know, they kind of figured out how to do things in college, and you, at the end of it, you've actually come out with some knowledge, you know, and that's how I like to do my stuff, and it'd be nice if we had some more tutorials like that. Actually, at the end of it, you know, people would get a good understanding of it. You know, and a proper, to teach people to properly do things, it's not like I do this, you do this. It's you explain why you do the thing you do, and that I think is missing in a lot of the tutorials, is the why of the thing. It's just like, oh, if you input this number here and then there, this will work. That's not a great tutorial as far as I'm concerned. Like, it's better, tell me why you do that, tell me the reasoning. That's why when I do tutorials, I do it that way, is it, you know, at the end of it, somebody comes out and they can go on their own, because a lot of the tutorials, you know, you end up with more questions than were answered, and it can be very frustrating. So it's nice to have a comprehensive tutorial where at the end of it you feel like, oh, I learned how to do this, and now I can, you know, move on. Alright, let's see. Coloration in here. Bingo. Let's do this. Yeah, so it'd be nice to have some tutorials out there that were like that, you know, go through the theory of it, you know, kind of like if you were going to step in a college course and they were going to teach you Python, or, you know, like I've done some Code Academy on Python, you know, that's what I would like to see with Lua. You know, a lot of the Lua stuff is just like, it's not great for what we're doing, you know, and it'd be kind of nice, you know, somebody showing you exactly step by step what you do in the game to get the desired results, and then at the end of it you've built something that you can utilize in game. You know, Jersey did some reasonable ones, but they were, you know, pretty limited. Why are these blocks multi-sided? That's annoying. Is it because I'm on symmetry? Yeah, it was symmetry that was causing that issue. Alright, so that's good. And then what do I want here? Probably too dark of green for those, maybe. Something like that, maybe. Oh, wow. Stuck in the build here. Okay, and then let's go up a couple here. There you go. So I think the paint's coming along nicely. You know, and if I can learn Lua pretty well, I'll do some proper tutorials going through it, you know. So that's good. Digging this interior vibe. It needs some lighting. So I'll probably do this overlay color all for the gauges there. Alright. Let's grab in lighting. Let's actually save this before I lose what I just did. I'm not gonna bring it in that way anyways, but there's the light dimmer from the tutorial. See, where are we at here? We have RGB lights are going to go to all of these. And then the dimmer needs to go in there. That's the issue with the way the helm is set up. This helm is very wide. Alright, we can stick it there, that works. Alright, so now we have lights. I'm gonna want to put on what do you call it? Some a light mast here. Maybe annoying their panels for now. You are. Okay, let's get this. Where can you go in? You can go in right here. There we go. So that's the outside player sensor for the kill switch. So that will you know, kill the thrust if we fall off the boat, so that our boat doesn't get lost. That's it. Let's see, what else do we want to do here? So that's good. Let's do a light mass. I'm going to want it to fold. Trying to decide if we want to do a full-on light mass. Probably not, actually. Yeah, let's probably not do a full-on light mast. There's gonna be painting these here because I have to get like there to see. It's tough to get these colored right because they're RGB'd, or they're XML'd rather. Try to get find where the color is there and try to get it in here somewhere is the problem. Yeah, I can't get it. Can't get it easily. So we'll fix it in a second here. I put a window over that? Can. Okay, good. Alright, so let's save this really quick, and we will go in and... And I'm going to color swap this out. Alright. Alright. Alright, so there are nav lights in there. I think we'll go no mast on this. Let me check up chat. Yeah, that's the thing is, you know, comprehensive tutorial, you have to know a lot, and so that's why I haven't done any sort of Lua anything tutorial, is I don't feel I know enough to really, because I want to be able to go in there and answer questions. So if somebody asks me a question, you know, why'd you do this, why'd you do that? If I don't know, it's, you know, then I shouldn't be putting out a tutorial. So it's kind of like, I want to learn how to do it comprehensively first, and then I'd be comfortable to go and, you know, answer some questions or be able to, like, try to go find out those answers. So it's, you know, it'd be nice to have somebody who's really good at Lua. Like, I've asked people in the past who are really good at Lua to, hey, let me make a tutorial. But Rasmus has offered to work with me. I just need to, you know, I'm not really in a super Lua mood to, like, sit down and do it. And that's part of why I don't know it all that well. It's like sitting down and just, like, banging through it. It's kind of not all that interesting to me at the moment. So rather kind of do some building than that. And I like the older aesthetic too. I don't like too many screens. So it's kind of my, you know, it's convenient here and there. I kind of like, if I'm doing Lua stuff, so like I'll show you some of my, like I do like Alien, you know, Alien. Trying to find some pictures of like in Alien, like the screens from the movie Alien, you know. They had kind of that really either green or, you know, yellow, of course, because it was, you know, the 80s. I kind of like that aesthetic better. So, for example, like, if we look at kind of like this, you know, don't play YouTube video and just pain in the ass, but like you see here, like this is the type of aesthetic I like, is like the old K-Pro type of, you know, interface, like that, this type of like interface, kind of like the Fallout, you know, had that aesthetic, and that was very much that old school type of green. Like, I remember using this when I was a kid, you know, like that's the Alien aesthetic. I really like that. So, like, I'll do that green, you know, that's what I prefer. I don't like a modern, you know, I kind of like it this type of, you know, blocking it out. So that's what I tend to like if I'm going to do any sort of, I don't want a super modern screen. I like the old type of, you know, that aesthetic, the 80s kind of computer aesthetic is what I like, you know. So that's what I tend to like to do anyway. So it's, I don't want stuff super duper modern anyway. You know, it's over automated. I'm not interested in it. You know, it's, I want to be engaged. I want to operate it, and that's kind of my whole thing there. All right. So what else do we need? I don't think we need too much. I'm going to probably put microcontrollers in the belly here where it doesn't have any other stuff, but think what we have here. So we have no speedo. We need a speedo, so You know, let's for now, before until I kind of get back into Lua a little bit, let's go ahead and we'll drag in Rijou, and I have some stuff on Rijou I want. So let's actually just do this. Let's we should be able to import the whole ship. So this was the career boat from the first career build series. Now, where's my water at? I don't want to drop these in. Let's place them in the water. So I have a couple Lua screens I've already made for Rijou. So like this, I have my, see, like it's that kind of alien aesthetic, just green on black, very basic. That's what I prefer to like a really, like I'd like a little maybe gray framing or dark, like a gray-green, like back matting. So I might do that. But this is heading depth. That's the bearing system. I'll probably do the bearing Lua screen, I would say, that I have on my airplanes. I just need to input that and all the data. Yeah, so let's grab that stuff. So I definitely want that in there. And I just like to cut it because that way I can keep all the connections. I don't have to redo the connections. Now we'll find the connections for this. So where is that? Monitor. So this right here. So I built this Lua stuff. It's just trying to go back and refresh my, like these are super simple. They're just text on black background, but I was thinking put some gray matting or something on there. What else do we have there? So that plugs into, what are you plugging into there, guy? You're plugging into the compass sensor. Okay, so we're going to use the physics sensor, and depth is a distance sensor, so we'll put a distance sensor in here. Alright, and then compass should be 17, I believe, on the physics sensor, so... And then we want to read... Alright, so there's depth in that. So it just goes into this Lua script that I made. Let's see, it's very simple. It's just, I'm just drawing text box with heading, a line in it, and then I'm coming back and I'm trying to get the compass, which, where is, right here, compass. So it's reading off of get number 1 is labeled compass, so it's pulling compass there. Depth under keel is right there, so that's get number 2, and then you have duck depth under keel right here, so it's calling on depth under keel to give you that. So pretty simple there. Alright, so that works now, and then let's go ahead and I think, is that all I want out of there? Pretty much. So I want to keep this boat small and light. I want it to be manual. I want, you know, I might put a heading hold on there. I don't know. I want to keep it basic. You know, I get very bored if it just is all super automated. It does everything for you. I don't know how that's entertaining. You know, you're a passenger, not a pilot at that point. You know, that's why the most engaged flying is when you have your hands on the stick the whole time. You know, when you're under autopilot, it's pretty damn boring. Alright, so let's save this. Alright, let's grab a plane that has... I'm trying to think, the bearing panel on it. Let's see, I have... This one has more stuff on it. So let's grab some of the Lua data here. Where's my Lua here? There it is right there. All right. Might just grab this bearing panel and use this. Here's bearing panel small right here. This is the one we want. This one still has the monitor attached, so we'll use that one. All right. That's the one I want. That one has my Lewis script in it already that I already built, so I don't have to build it again. All right. And this one I think I converted to physics sensor already. Yep. And then, let's see. Physics sensor, where are you, guy? Right there, right there. I plugged this in, right? No, I didn't. Okay, plug that in. Monitor should be pre-attached. It is not. It is now. What are you? Monitor touch needs to be plugged. Okay, good. So let's grab this. This is going to be the bearing monitor. The bearing, monitor. That will hook up the bearing panel. So this will be all the navigation equipment we need. And then why is there no keypad? I need to enter that in. This is all radio, so it's gonna. I need to plug in the keypad, so I need to work on this a little bit. Get this to be ready. All right, so this one here has all the. So the way that the bearing panel used to work was for my airplanes is it worked like an ADF system, and so you would actively have a physical station there that was via radio reporting its position, just like IRL. And that was causing lag problems. So now it's all the X and Y coordinates are inputted in there. And when you input in a radio frequency, it triggers numerical switch boxes and gives you that. So we can still use the radio frequencies. It just doesn't work the same. And then where's keypad? I need to plug my keypad back in. All right, so essentially this is radio here going in here, and all we need is numerical switch box there. So let me see how this plumbs up and how this runs really quick. So let's go. Where's occupied? How's occupied on this sucker? Occupied right here. All right, let's jump on there and see what comes up on the monitor, because I haven't finished this system yet, the new one. All right, so it's going to tell us our bearing distance, and then we would go to the next page and we can enter in a radio frequency. So I think Dremore is 635, maybe 600. I can't remember. 630 maybe. Okay, so 630 it just changed. The 170 bearing, that's not Dremore. Let me look it up and I'll figure it out. I have them all written down. So this one works. You can enter in radios for that, but I want to be able to do GPS too, because we need to be able to enter in that. So I have that set up on another one. I just need to enter it back in this one. So let's see. What is 630 is FJ, so that makes sense right behind us. 300 is military. What is Dremore? Dremore is 635. Okay, so I was right. I guessed that. 635 is a 315, 16 nautical miles away. Okay, so this is working. So then that's a camera. All right, so that works. I built this one. I have to go back in and play with, build some new systems, but that's working. All right, so what I need to do here is, let's go in the Lua and work on this. So properties, let's make that 2 extra long, add 2. So this is number input, keypad A and B. All right, and that will be, I don't know where that spawned, right here, okay. So we'll take that. And then this will default to the radio. So radio will default there, and then these will go in the bottom subtracts like so. Is that correct? Disk sensor. No, is that right? Yes, that's fine. No, that's not right. Okay. Go like this. So this should be here. So we don't want that. We want to go here. There. Okay, that's what I want. So what this is doing is this is reading the XY coordinates from the different stations. So if I, for example, let's find Draymore. So Draymore was 635, so radio frequency 635 is, I bet you it's all the way to the left, yep. 635, and all it does is it goes from a 0 to read Draymore's X and Y coordinates. And then it passes through here, so that's going to default there, and what I'm going to do is, what we'll do is we'll take keypad A, we'll go here. Keypad B will go here. And what we'll do for the switch is, let's see. So we'll do a not. And we'll do a threshold. So if this is not 0, it will, so essentially if I put something in the keypad, it will switch over to the keypad. If the keypad is bare, it will default to radio, so pretty simple there. All right, good. So that will do that, and that will let me use the keypad. All right, and then this should just be up like that, I'd say. Let me get back into this chat. Let me check some chat. How's it going there, Rasmus? What's going on? I appreciate that, FT. Yeah, that's the thing that, you know, one of the reasons I started doing tutorials was I would watch tutorials and, you know, I have a reasonable technical background and I've had to learn how to operate complex, you know, many a complex vehicle, especially the aircraft I've flown, and so it's, you kind of learn some skills in there, how to properly teach people how to do it. I was a flight instructor, so kind of learned how to teach people in that. And so, you know, like you're saying, I watch a tutorial, and it would just be like, oh, I'm just starting to understand this. And you could have gone that extra 2 minutes to teach me how to do this. And instead, you just like, oh, hook this node here, and then we're all set. And it's like, oh my God, dude, if you told me why that node was connected there and you told me why this works, it would make a lot more sense. You know, it's, for example, like, it's one of the reasons why I don't do a 5-minute tutorial on how to set up a modular engine, like, oh, put in this value, type in 0.18 for the p-value, and then do this, and then do this, and do this. I explain to you why the p-value of 1.8 works, why it may not work, and, you know, because what's going to happen? Somebody's going to build this, they're going to put it into their, say, truck, and it was a car microcontroller, and then I'm going to get 28 questions of why doesn't this work, or even worse is they'll go on, first of all, they'll work for 4 hours trying to figure it out themselves, get frustrated, then they'll go on Steam, Reddit, you know, everywhere else, and they'll ask for help, and you get people who really don't know how to help them, throwing out more answers that are wrong, and then they're going to spend another 4 hours, and they're going to say, the game sucks, I'm confused, this is no fun, and they're having a miserable time, where often if you watch like an hour-long tutorial where they explain to you exactly why you do A, what happens if A is this value, what happens if A is this value, and hey, you know, maybe if you put this in a truck, you're not going to have enough torque for this, so it could stall out. So you need to feather the clutch more, reduce the clutch, you know, so like explaining why something works, I find to be very important. That's one thing I would love to see in a really good Lua tutorial. What is this plugged into here? What are you plugged into, guy? Oh, that's the other bearing panel that we're not using. Okay. You know, and that's what I'd love to see, is that would really, you know, that would really be helpful to get people a little bit better in there sometimes. Is that? Okay, that's digital compass. All right, these can go. You know, and that's what I'd love to see with a good Lua tutorial, is somebody going in there and really explaining that. So let's go in here, and so we have the keypad, so we should be able to go to GPS coordinates. You know, with the planes, it's not as important to have these GPS coordinates because, you know, generally we're going to an airport, and an airport would have a radio beacon there. You know, in a boat like this, we can go anywhere out there for rescue. So what we're going to do is get on here, and so that's going to show 356. The reason it's doing that is that's the 0, position on the map. So we're 14 miles from the 0, position. It's 0 here, so this is going to default to radio. So we should be able to type in 635. 635 right there, and bingo, that gives us a 315, 16 nautical miles away. So there is north, we're 348, so north is about right there. 315 is about there, that makes sense. 16 nautical miles makes sense. All right, and then we want to enter in a GPS coordinate, so we're going to put one just right over here. All right, and because of 00, it's going to default to the radio as I go here. Enter that in. Bingo, we get that 26. So 026, so there is 348 north, about 20 degrees. Yep, 2.8 nautical miles. That's 5 kilometers. That makes sense. Because I think it's, what is it, 2.28? Something like that. So that makes sense. Yeah, 2.28 conversion from nautical miles to kilometers. So that makes sense. And the time should read 0 because we're not moving. All right, so that works. And then if I put 00 back in here, 00, enter, bingo, it goes back to radio. So that's a cool little way to do it where you don't have to switch it over manually. You can do it where if there's a 0 value, it won't do it. So we put that back in, bingo, and then we'll start up. I'll read the chat in a second. And often, like, for example, somebody could do a Lua tutorial for a game or something that's not this game, and, you'll get 90% of the way there, but you don't get that last 10% of, okay, I now know how to do this Lua stuff, but how do I apply it to this game? And that's like, I already know that part, the logic blocks, and so I would love to get good at Lua and, like, be able to do some proper tutorials, so I'll have to work with Rasmus sometime to do that. Yep, yeah, I was mentioning you earlier, Rasmus. I have to kind of find a good time to do it. I'll contact you at least, some days before, a week before, and we'll kind of set up a time when you're free, and that way we can do it and kind of sit down, and I can get in the right mindset, because I often, I want to build my build, and I don't want to get too sidetracked, and but that would be awesome. We could go through it, and then if I do a tutorial on it, I can pick your brain if people are asking me some questions, because if I don't know the answer, I can come to you and be like, hey, this person asked this question, that's interesting, I don't know the answer, what's the answer to that? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that at some point. I just need to kind of get that, get some time and everything. A little bit of MacGyver, yeah, it's what is it? It says 4-hour cyberpunk dark synth. Yes. Yep. Yeah. I had to use that backup tab a few days ago. I almost forgot to save something. I try not to do it. I get a little worried about not doing it. So I do my own backups. I do a lot of backups. Just because, sometimes, if I'm working on autopilot, especially for a really complex vehicle, if I'm converting autopilot from a plane to a VTOL, where there's going to be a lot of changes, functional changes, I need to make a lot of backups, because if I make a small error, I could completely invalidate the autopilot, and so sometimes it's easier to go back. Okay, where was that connected? How was I doing it before? So, that's one of the reasons I do them the way I do them. Yep, glad you're enjoying them, Sanders. Oh, nice. New stall plane. I always like a stall plane. Yes, I like the Star Trek aesthetic. Those are they talk about it being the nostalgia period, of your life. So if we look here, we're bearing of 021. So again, we're going to go 021 right to the point. As you can see, it's 0.6 nautical miles. Once we get within, I think I set this to maybe 1 nautical mile, we'll get a flashing light to tell us we're close. So I don't think I'm even gonna do a heading hold autopilot on this. I think I'm just gonna leave this as a very manual craft. I want this to be a manual craft. I'm not gonna do really any towing with this. It's a heading hold autopilot. I might put a heading hold autopilot on this just to hold the bearing or a set heading. I think I will do that. I'll do a set heading. That way it makes it so that, so here we go, or right, there we go. So, simple bearing system like this, and then the monitor is helpful. I can also put a camera on here You know, with and that's my night vision, my FLIR button. So do that. But I did build this one. I just built that myself as well. Yeah, I really like the Star Trek aesthetic was cool. You know, any of those types of old type of aesthetics I like better than, you know, hyper modern. Oh, that's cool. Lua gyro. Yeah, that was kind of, you know, I didn't, you know, to a certain extent, like when I was watching Jersey tutorials, at some point, like I would look at a Jersey microcontroller and be like, this doesn't make any sense. And, you know, you know, there is a difference between engineering and operations as well. And when you know, for example, like you talk about engineering of aircraft systems. For example, my brother's a software engineer, and he was working on some of the screens in actually one of the jets I used to fly when I was flying that jet. And so I would tell him, I'm like, oh yeah, we hate that feature. That feature doesn't make any sense. And he's like, oh, why? And it was because, you know, from an engineering perspective, this thing made sense. From a pilotage perspective, it made no sense. And so you need that operational knowledge, and it needs to interact with the engineering knowledge to be able to come together and get the system to work right. So you have a lot of test pilots who will go out there, they'll test out the system, and they'll be like, nope, this makes no sense. Why would you do that? You know, and of course the engineers, that's not their forte. To know how to pilot the aircraft, and so it would be a good collaboration between the pilots and the engineers to come up with a system that made sense for what you're doing. And it's the same thing with like how mechanics are always complaining about engineers, how they, you know, engineer some of the stuff and it makes it hard for the mechanics to do anything, like hiding, you know, hiding the oil filter behind, you know, a bunch of stuff. Like on my old pickup truck, the oil filter had a funnel built into right over the axle, the front axle of it, so that when you pulled off the oil filter, the oil wouldn't drip on the front axle. It would roll down this like channel to come out, and it's like stuff like that, you know. So it's you know, definitely like some of the Jersey stuff or some of the other tutorials, you could see it from an engineering perspective, it made sense, but from a pilot or an operator perspective, it didn't make much sense. And so it was kind of nice to come in at a different perspective. And then I saw a lot of the stuff that it was, you know, I know why people want a short tutorial. It's a lot more approachable to go watch a 5-minute video than to watch an hour-long video. And I constantly get comments of like, oh, you know, you get more views if you made it shorter. But my goal isn't to get the most viewed video. My goal is to actually have people learn how the system runs, and to make the system better. And you know what, if you want to watch a 5-minute tutorial, that's great. There are people who do that, you know, and instead of like having 200 5-minute tutorials, well, you know, have 30 5-minute tutorials, have, you know, 60 30-minute tutorials, have a few hour-long tutorials. And if you go watch the 5-minute and you don't learn what you need to learn, or you have more questions, you can go watch the longer one or the shorter one, you know. And so it's, you know, different strokes for different folks. And you know, some people, they don't care how it works. All they want to do is like stick it in their build, and that's perfectly fine. You know, and I kind of try to fill that niche where, you know, you learn a little bit more why it works. You know, and I think, and that's part of my, you know, flight instructing background, is you had to know you had to get 100% on all your tests. So if I had a student, you know, we would run through the stuff. If they got a 90, they didn't pass, but we would go back, and that last 10% we would work on together. And then they would get tested on that 10% again, and hopefully they passed that time, you know, and 100% was pass. And so it was, you needed to know the intricacies, you needed to know why, you needed to know the different situations, and so that's kind of why my approach is that way. Do you have any differential thrust tutorials with fluid jets? No, I haven't really done any fluid jet stuff. I'm not a huge fan of fluid jets. I could get into them at some point, but it's not something I use myself, so I don't have that much time playing with them, so I don't, you know, I wouldn't say I'm authoritative enough to really get in there and answer the questions. So if I played with them some more and I kind of understood them a little bit better, I might want to go in there and do a tutorial. But I don't have the, you know, I don't have the knowledge of those of the fluid jets enough to really speak with any authority on them. So, you know, maybe if I play with them some more. I tend to like to, fluid jets are cool because you can do like, you know, crazy side movements, but like I do that with azipods. That's kind of more my speed. I'd rather use azipods. It seems like it's, you know, for example, like you can set it up where you press the D key and the boat just goes sideways. I have zero interest in that. I want to actually manually control my azipods to move me sideways because it's a little bit more in depth and that's what I enjoy, you know. I don't really enjoy just like, oh, press the S key and or D key and turn and slide right, you know. I'd much rather, you know, operate it manually. That's just keeps me more entertained because you know I'm a equipment operator at heart. That's what I enjoy the most. So, you know, and I've operated some really intricate equipment, so it's like I need the vehicles in game to be very intricate, or else I'll be bored. You know. So. Yeah, you know, teaching is tough. That was one thing that, you know, when you learn to be a flight instructor, for example, you go through your private pilot, your instrument, your commercial, and then you go through, you could go right into flight instructor there, but I think I did my multi next. Then I did my CFI, which is flight instructor, and then, no, yeah, CFII is flight instructor instrument. I never bothered getting my multi instructor because I didn't need to. You know, we only needed like, what was it, 150, 200 hours of multi-time to get, to apply to the airlines, so I easily got that without having to be an instructor for multi. And multi, it was hard to get a multi-engine job because, again, people didn't really need a lot of hours multi, you know, and multi, what was it, 30, 40 hours, I think, at most. So, like, you would need a lot of students to be able to get a lot of multi-time anyway. So it was better to just, you know, it was cheaper not to get it. But like one thing you learn when you go do your flight instructors, so you've already done quite a bit of flying, you already have your commercial license, and the thing is now you're trying to take what you know how to do, you know, naturally, and then you have to verbalize it to somebody else in a stressful environment, and to be able to teach what comes naturally to you to somebody else, and that's challenging. So you have to be able to come up with good analogies, you need to break it down, you need to realize, okay, this person's a visual learner, they need to see it, so we're not going to get much out of this, you know, sitting in the classroom. We need to go up in the plane and actually fly, and I need to sit them down, and I need to demonstrate it to them so they can visualize it and see it. And some people, they can only visualize it in the airplane if they've seen it on the blackboard because they've got a mental picture of the blackboard or the, you know. And so you need to kind of figure that out. And you're like, okay, you know, you learn better on the blackboard, so we're going to actually sit down in the classroom, go over this first, and then I'm going to have you draw it on the blackboard to make sure that you know it. Then we'll go in the airplane because those people were useless in the airplane because I could show them 200 times how to do something, and unless they saw it on the blackboard, they couldn't know. So you knew you had to go take this person into the classroom, take this person right in the plane. So there's some people I never took in the classroom for that stuff, and there are other people that every time we need to learn something, we went in the classroom first. And so it's kind of have to learn those different techniques. And they don't come naturally. You have to, you know, it's there's a reason why teaching is a profession. You know, you have to be professional at it. You have to learn the skills like anything else. And so it's, I'm digging this boat though, man. This boat's coming along well. Like to get rid of the smoke. A little bit of smoke's not bad because it makes a rooster tail because we don't get the water thrown up behind us like we would IRL. So it's kind of almost like leaving the smoke to a certain extent. It kind of makes a rooster tail, but this little boat's performing really well, and it's fitting the niche that I want it to. And I want it to be simple. I don't want this to be ultra complicated. You know, and I also this one I'll probably end up putting on the workbench on the workshop. You know, so it's I kind of want to keep it a little bit on the simpler side so it can actually get done reasonably quick because a lot of them I get to the point where I'm like still adding stuff or tweaking and I'm unhappy with it, and so I need to keep working on it. So this one I want to get out. So let's work on a heading hold autopilot. So we need to read out a bearing 2. So this panel is going to get bigger again. So what I want to do is I want to read out my bearing 2. So what we want to do is add a node. We'll do a composite. It doesn't have to be a composite. We'll just yeah, we'll do a number output. So this is bearing. So bearing 2 is essentially the heading you need to turn to go there. That's all a bearing 2 is. And that should be this number right here is the bearing 2. So I'll go over the formula. So it's somebody told me you don't need some of these 360 pluses. That's how I learned it, so I just put them in there. But this is the tangent of xy pi squared times 360. And so essentially all you're doing is you're taking the GPS coordinates and you're subtracting them from either the xy coordinates of where you're going from the radio, or the xy coordinates where we're going from the keypad. So where you want to go, subtract where you presently are, and then you go in here. So that's gonna be xy. So it's gonna take the a tan 2. It's not that one's not squared. If we look here, where is it? I'm not great at trig, but the a tan 2. So it's the arc tangent of 2 points. It's not squared. It's the arc tangent of 2 points. So the arc tangent of x and y divided by pi. I think the pi is squared. Would make sense. Yeah, I think it's pi squared. There it is. That turns it into radians. Times 360 will give us the compass. And then, so this is going to give us our bearing too. So, like, when you see on my bearing panel, it tells you what heading to turn to. That is what this number is going to spit out. So, when we go to put in, make a blank heading hold here. So, we'll just make a heading hold panel. I didn't want you to be black. So, let's go right there. I'll read chat in a second. Kind of grooving here. Oh, come on. If you see my caps is on, it's usually because I've been playing Tarkov. Heading hold, and so what we want to go in there is I need keypad, I need the bearing 2, and I need out to the rudders, and I need the seat. So we need 4, so okay. Alright, so we want composite input from the helm. I want the number input bearing 2. A number input from HD heading keypad. And then this is going to be number output to the rudders. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to start working on this. I'm going to just do property text with spawn there, just so I know where my spawn is. That just tells me where these are going to spawn, so I don't have to try to hunt for it. Alright. So helm is going to be AD is 1, so helm is AD. We have heading keypad bearing 2. I need a PID, as is good. Advanced PID as usual. Alright, so what we want to do here is we need a numerical switch box. So we're going to switch this. We'll switch to there. We'll do this. That will just stop me from having to do not. So heading will go there, bearing 2 will go there. This will go into the set point. I need the compass. Let's do this instead. So instead of taking bearing 2, we'll make that bearing panel composite. And that way I'll be able to read in the compass as well. So. And then we want to come back here. So this will change from bearing 2 to be 2 HDG hold. I'm making them separate panels that way in case later I want to use this on something else. I could do that. I could make them 1, but I don't want to. Let's see, where did you just go? Right here. I didn't change it to, so this is going to be composite output now. Composite output. Alright, so that's a composite output now, so we need to write this. So we're going to write, where are you at? Right. Alright, so this will be, we'll just do 2 channels here. 1 and 2 is fine. Alright, and so this is going to be 1 is going to be like 2. So 2 will be the bearing 2. And then compass is going to be red. Where are you at compass here? 17. So 17. No, we have a compass already in here somewhere. We have to have a compass in here. It's comparing the compass. So where are you at compass? Yeah, it's comparing the compass. Maybe, no, it's not really comparing the compass, is it? No. It's doing it in here, so I'll compare the compass out. So we'll go... what am I doing here? I need to read a number. 17 is compass. All right. And so that'll be the raw compass. There is 1. I could convert it here, but I think I'll convert it in the other panel. Should probably convert it there. Let's save this really quick. I need to check the conversion. I forget it. What do I have that has a compass on it recently? Actually, the compass, I have the compass right here for this. For the digital compass here. So that is right here. So this converts it into compass. Let's do it over here instead. Alright, so this will then come over here. And this will read out the compass reading. Because we need to compare it to the compass. So update that. Alright, so this is now going to get plugged in there. So zing over here. We need to change this here. Nope, that's the wrong one. Where is it? Right here. Bearing panel goes there. Keeping the panel small like this, it's a pain, but what it does, it lets me, you know, not have to, it lets me put them wherever I want, especially with a small build. If I make an enormous panel that does everything, I can't put it in a different build. I have to break it apart, so it's better to have them broken apart to start with. All right, I'm going to read a couple numbers here. We want 1 and 2. So we have compass, and we have the bearing. So compass and bearing. So this is going to be the process variable there. This is going to be the numerical switch box set point there. P-value, we're going to start with a... I don't want to have to hook up a p-value in here, so we'll do a p-value. I'll check chat in a second. Heading hold. Start with a 1 for now. I'll probably end up having to dial it down. Just do a constant on. This is a pretty small boat, so it's not, and you know, it's not like it's an enormous boat where the logic is just starting to add up. So, and then we want to do a function here, and so I want to clamp out that. So let's go. That so. Let's see, let's do like 0.25 maximum on the PID, and then the rest of it will be that. So that's going to add our own input here. So this will be us steering. We'll override this by quite a bit. So we can still do maximum deflection on here. So if this one's deflecting all the way left, say it's going to try to hit a rock, it's only going to be able to deflect up to 25. We're going to be able to deflect the remainder, so we can oversteer it in the event of an emergency and override our autopilot like that. So I think that's good. Yep. Let's see, you are Helm, so Helm needs to go in there, not Liam. And then we have heading keypad is right there. And then we need, where are we at? Rudders goes in here now, and let me double check something. So if the heading keypad here is 0, so we want a threshold of 0. And so essentially, if I don't put in a heading hold in there, it's going to default to the bearing system. If I put a heading in there, I want the heading to override the system. It will then go up and it will do. Let's see, 0 was flip it. Yep, so that will work. So if it's a number that's not 0, it will. If it's 0, it will default to the bearing. If it's not 0, it will default to the heading keypad. So that overrides it. So again, if I'm gonna hit a rock, I can quickly put in something in the keypad, and it will override it so that it makes sure that it doesn't hit something. Because you always want to make the pilot able to override the autopilot. That is the big thing, you know. Again, that's another differentiation between the engineers and the pilot. The pilot, you know, the pilot knows that he's got all this meat behind him that's important and doesn't really, you know, there's so many times that the automated systems that a $25 million jet was trying to kill us, and that we would just shut it off and be like, I don't know what it's doing, I don't care what it's doing, but it's going to get us killed, so I'm going to stop it from doing whatever it's doing. Alright, so here we are, we're going along. So let's go to like a 010, so keypad, enter, 010, nothing. Okay, I gotta fix that, something's up. Alright, what's up? Why you no work, sir? I should have done it before we even moved. Let me check. Are you merged? You're merged, okay. Going to the rudders, that's correct. Let's see. We have bearing panel coming in. Bearing panel there. We have the helm coming in. Okay, let's check the bearing panel. Go through everything really quick. Okay, 2 heading hold. Yep. Okay, that's good. 1 and 2. 1 and 2 right there. Okay, date. Did I plug the physics? I must have plugged the physics sensor in here. Yep. That's all plugged in. That's all good. Okay. Taking in keypads, good. Rudders there. Bearing panel. 2 heading hold. Helm. Helm. Helm, yep. Okay. So let's see. Let's do a test and see what's up. So we should be able to diagnose it doing the actual test too. So first thing I want to do is make sure I can oversteer this, so I should be able to steer. I can steer. So the steering's going through, so the helm connection's fine. That's fine, okay. And then what we want to do is 090 is way to the right, so we'll put 090 in there. And so they should be full right, but they're not, so... Or they should be 25, because I limited them. Can't tell where they are right now. They should be on. Let me make sure, see what they're reading. Okay. Let me root check. That function could be screwing it up. I might have screwed something up with the function. Up, yeah. This is Z, not Y. That would be Y. Z. Right, so that will fix that. Alright, so let's go 090, so that's to our right. Alright, so it's going, are they turning the wrong direction? I think they are, so we need to double check that, and then we'll just invert the signal. Looks like they're turning the wrong direction to go left, yep. So 025, so that's not a big deal. Going here, go negative Z. And now this should spawn USCOM. There we go. I'll check with chat once we get this rocking and rolling. So, you know, one of the reasons I do this too is when I do a time lapse, if I want to go AFK or something in a video, it's nice to just be able to put it on heading hold or something. So, much as okay, so it's trying to steer me over. What are you doing there, guy? You trying to steer something? Okay, so that's that one value's. Why is it? Shouldn't be doing anything. Oh, you know what it's trying to do? It's trying to steer me to the 0 point. Okay. It's trying to steer me to the 0 point, I think. Because the bearing is already in there. Alright, let's figure this out here. So I should have an activation button on this, is frankly what I should do. Trying to think. All right, I have a helm reading in here, so let's go and just use that. So let's see, start, stop. Let's do 5 is AP master. Okay. Master of puppets are pulling your strings. Okay, we'll do AP master toggle 5. And then we'll do helm 5. Alright. And then 1 is way too high. We know that already off the bat. So let's go down to try 0.25 on there. Yeah, I saw somebody show some fluid jet stuff at one point, but I haven't played with it myself. All right, so here we go. We can just steer normally ourselves because it's post PID is when we add that in. So it's our steering added to whatever the PID says. The PID's saying nothing now, so it's adding it to 0. And then what we want to do is, if I want to go, let's say we want to head to Draymore. So Draymore 630. 635. Right, so that's in. That's 3:14, 15, 8, and so it's giving us some time. So we're going to go ahead and we'll press 5. All right, so you see it's overreacting. That means that number is still way too big, so that's fine. It's working. It's just not reacting well. All right, and then let's go 090. So this should override it. So again, the pilot should be able to override it. Is it going to do it? I don't know, man. Might not want to do it. So that should be overriding. Alright, so let's go ahead and I'm going to stick in a p-value number so we can tune it on the fly, so I don't have to try to do it this way. I'll check chat in a minute. I'm just get some stuff done here. I don't want to lose my train of thought. So here we go. Number input, p-value. Okay, let's go in here. Now let's go there, update that. All right. Keypad. All right. So now we'll tune in that p-value. You know, and this is another thing you can tell people, oh, you know, in a quick tutorial, like, oh, use this value for your p-value. The problem is if you have a big boat that is less likely to want to turn, you know, might have a smaller rudder to, you know, size essentially. It doesn't really work because as you change, as you get more rudder effectiveness, you need a smaller p-value, you know. So that's the sort of thing that, again, you need to, it's better to teach somebody how to do it, you know. And so my big thing is, you know, taking it out, testing it like this. So we have a 0.1 in there. Last time we had a 0.25 and it was too much. You could see it oscillating and overreacting. And so smaller p-value will make it not overreact. So, okay, we're good now. So let's go ahead and put in 090. And so I think something's up with the heading. That's not really working right, but we'll go ahead and we'll work with Draymore to tune in the p-value. So I want 635. Okay, that's in. Let's put a 0 in here. And then 5. Alright, so that is still too big of a number, so let's do 0.05. We'll just keep halving it. Do 0.025. 0.0001. Okay, so that I went way under to try to test it. Let's go 090. I didn't hit my autopilot master last time. So that should be taking precedence. Let's start bringing this up. What are we? 001. 01. Still too much. Okay. 0.001. Okay. Wow, that's still nuts, dude. 0.000001. Okay. Let's see, what else do I have here for? I need to look at my ADF, see what's... let's see. Dual base is to our right, so that's 800. I don't know right now if my my headings hold's working for putting in numbers. Right, so why is that? That's wrong. That doesn't look right to me. 356? I don't think so. Let's try 850. Alright, something's up with that. Alright, I'm gonna turn this and then see if it changes it. So this number is way too small now. Alright, so that's not bad. What is it? 0.001? It's a little bit off, but it's not terrible. 0.002. Trying to get it right in the money here. 0.003. 0.004. Okay, that's just going nuts now. Here's why this is screwy too. .001. Gonna play with this. It's not behaving itself right at all. Wonder what's up with it. Doesn't like the 0. I have to check that. It's probably the decision it needs to decide whether it goes left or right. I didn't put that in yet, so I'll check the heading hold on my other build and do that. But for now, we won't worry about that. We'll shut the autopilot off. But I'll fix that later. Check some chat. I've been chatting a little while. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely like Sanders' comment about teaching CPR. It's definitely better, you know, if you know the why of the thing. You know, for example, like his example of CPR, it's like you can tell somebody, okay, you know, you put your hands here, you do this many compressions, this often. That's what they'll tell, you know, like they'll put on a poster is how to do CPR. They don't tell you the why of it. Then an EMT comes and they, you know further what you actually have to do, why the body does this, and that then they can further diagnose issues. It's like, you know, as a flight instructor, you get in there and you start to see what a student is doing, and you can kind of, for example, like if I see a student, like I used to take a student up, and if they were doing like kicking the rudder low to the ground, we would go up there and I would get them to like do some nut stuff with the plane, get it into close to a spin or in a spin, and show them that they're going to do this at low altitude with what they're doing, and show them, okay, this is the repercussion if you do that close to the ground. Not good, you know. Yeah, let me see. I remember there was a fluid jet chart somebody made. So I'm trying to find. There was somebody put it up. They made a fluid jet chart where you could, you know, set them up to go different directions. Phantom Raptor is doing fluid jets for the challenge. I think Phantom Raptor has done them before and does a good job with them. But again, you know, it's like if I knew how to do them well, I would I do a tutorial on it. You know, I might get into them at some point. I think they're cool. I don't like the water animation on them, so that's one of the reasons I don't like really playing with them too much. You know, and it's just like, it's the meta thing, and I don't like the metas, so I tend to stay away from the metas. You know, it's like, I also, for example, who was it? That Frog Curtis did a really cool Voith Schneider drive on a tugboat, and it was fluid jets hidden in fuel tanks. But, you know, I like to do it, you know, a little bit more realistic with things like azipods. Yeah, so essentially, like, yeah, they have, I think, 1 to -1 on either side, and you're actually moving the blades. And there was a good diagram, I just looked for it, I couldn't find it, where it tells you, like, if blades are in this orientation, you will move sideways. You know, and so, oh, we just overheated there, I think. Just overheat? I think we did. I don't know why we're overheating in this boat. I have to check the cooling system. I think we overheated. But, you know, if you know that chart, you know just how to set it up with that. But I've yet to get into them, so I couldn't really talk about it too much. Thanks for hanging out there, Rasmus. Good night. Yeah, I like Asmus better anyways for, like, here, I'll show you like some of my Asmus drives. Let me save this. You know, I think they're more engaging doing azimuths too. You know, again, you could set up the fluid jets to be a little bit more engaging, but you know, a lot of people set up like controllers, which is fine if you're not interested in doing it too much. But let me see. I have a barge. I have a bunch of stuff set up azimuths. I have one here. Where the hell is it? I have a self-propelled barge. Here it is, right here. That's not the one I want. Where is it? What did I call it? I thought I called it barge, but I don't see it. I had one. I'm trying to find some of my azimuth stuff here. I know my tugboat's azimuth. Let's grab that. This tugboat from the Career Build Series azimuths. So it's I really like it. It's a more engaging way to do, especially tugboats. They're very useful. It's a more engaging way to do it. You know, I find. Bridge power. What are we on here? So, like, for example, I control them with WSAD, so A and D, left and right, and then up, down. Up, down does the throttle on starboard, and the WS does it on port. So let's say I want to go sideways. Now, in real life, there are diagrams. I found them on Damon. I can't find them again. Well, let's go to 45 degrees. So this will read out to 0.25. All right. So if you go half of that, you know, 12.5. So about 12.5 on either side. They work better. So we read this one about 12.5 there. So right there. And so that's 45 degrees. Now, in-game, it doesn't like 45 degrees as much, so you should cut that in half. So go to like a 6 or a 7. And so we'll go like 7 on either side. All right, now what you want to do is you want to be pulling. So the side you want to go to, you want to be reversed. So we're going to go to starboard. So we want starboard in reverse. We want port in forward. Is that going to be correct? No. Yeah, that's right. So I'm gonna tap W and down at the same rate. So I'm just gently tapping them one at a time at the same rate. They'll just keep their speed the same. All right, now you have to be slow with this. I went too fast. So I'm just gonna rotate us around here. So I'm going to steer with my starboard. I'm going to hit something here. I got to go forward here. Stand by. So I need to fix this one. This one needs to go back to like 7. Alright, so we're going to go forward. Let's get out in the open water a little bit. You have to be, the problem is it clutches in at a certain torque. I need to slow it down. Thanks for hanging out, Sander. We'll see you later. Yeah, so you do the same thing essentially with fluid jets. You'd be turning one of them in reverse, one of them in forward, and it would work the same way. So, all right, here we are. So I'm going to start slowly because the way these clutch in, I need to kind of adjust these to be a little bit more usable. So I'm just gently tapping back starboard and forward on port. The problem is they're going to clutch in at one point. And then I want to steer with my, I want to pick one to steer. So I'm going to steer with port, okay? And so, try to get this right here. All right, so there we go. I find in game, you can't do it as extreme as you can in real life. So I have, stand by, I got to get this set up here. What the fuck is it doing? It's being touchy right now. Let's see. Problem is I can't get this thrusted low enough. Like, you can do it with electric motors is really helpful, but you can get them right where you want. Let me try to get these set up. Like, in real life, you're doing like 45-degree angles. You have to do very small angles in game. So let's do. I'm starting to just push up the port one there. You have to take it slow. And then you have to pick to steer with one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to steer with my port. And so you can see we're going sideways. And I'm just steering with port. So, and that's going to control where I'm facing. So I'm just doing facing with port. So I want to pick a heading, so right there, we'll pick a reference point right there. And we're going to maintain this heading of 213 about. And so I'm just steering with port. And my starboard is pulling me sideways. So you notice we're moving sideways and you're steering with port. So that's what I like with azipods is you can, maneuver quite effectively. I just need to work on the drive system on this. The drive system's not perfect. I changed the gearing and I haven't redone the drive system. So like if I put in a heading hold, so let's go 213, it should just control the port, and that should maintain our heading for us. Do I have an autopilot master? I do. Okay. So autopilot master is going to maintain my heading there. So I can even let the autopilot do it, and you'll notice we're gently moving sideways. And now I can try to control my speed with the, so I can start to bring out my. Okay, it screwed it up because for some reason I have both thrusters controlling the steering. It should just be the one, so I guess I can't run autopilot with this. So yep, can't run the autopilot with that. It's overreacting essentially. Because it's supposed to be, with the autopilot you're supposed to just run one thruster. I might have both of them running, so go back to going sideways again here. So. But you have to be very gentle. So like I'm very gently moving out starboard. As I start to turn, I need to just move my port. So you'll see if I start to move my port too much to the left, you'll notice we rotate. So if I don't want to rotate, I just bring that back. And then I'm going to start bringing the starboard more. And if I do that, I need to bring port over as well to control the turn. So controlling my turning with the angle of port, and I'm controlling my my direction with the starboard essentially. So the port is, so this one here is trying to pull me backwards. The starboard is trying to pull me backwards and right. The port is trying to push me forward and left. And so that is counteracting it. And the result is we go sideways. So there was a cool infographic on Damon, the shipyard, that showed you where to set them up. They actually do them reversed. You can turn theirs 360 degrees. I would love it if they give us a 360 degree power pivot. I would make proper azipods then, because instead of this, what the tugs do is they don't put their engine in reverse. They constantly keep them forward. That makes it more reactive because I have to go through 0 all the way into backwards and do a gear change and the propeller has to reverse speed or reverse direction, and all of that makes it slow, so you can't control it properly. So what should be happening here is both of them should be forward. So this one here, my reverse one, should be facing 180 degrees, and it should be pushing, the propeller should be moving the other direction. Then this one should be facing its current direction and pushing the way it is. But I can't do that unless I did electric motors, and then I have to do diesel electric, which is not as efficient. So, you know, it'd be nice if they just gave us 360-degree power pivots like they have IRL, because you'd be able to do it. But as you can see, you can go sideways with this. You know, you can do station keeping, which would be, I have to change the starboard one, but they actually do. See, like I have to go through a gear change, and that makes it so I lose power for a second. IRL, you wouldn't lose power like that. So let's go all the way. I'm trying to get this set up here. I can't see my pivot here. I don't know why it's going. I can't see them is the problem. I need to make a Lua screen with these on them so I can see them better. I have, it's reasonable the way I have them. Like I have these two, it shows me their positions here, but it doesn't read it out as well as I'd like. So like, they would do station keeping like this, where essentially powering both of them up facing each other. And that keeps you more stable. It's essentially trying to keep it in position. And then as you want to go forward, you would just start to bring them both in. Like this. And you can start to go forward, and then because in real life they can control them 360 degrees, they would then spin them backwards. So they would leave their propellers spun up. And if they wanted to go backwards, they would push the two of them forward a little bit, and they would start to angle forward, and it would push you backwards. And then they would angle in the other way, and they would push you, you know, ahead. And so that way you can easily change speed the whole time, because, and then if you push the two propellers facing out port and starboard with the thrust up, you'd stay in position because they're going against each other. So some cool stuff with that, but you know, we can't do 360-degree pivots, so I have to kind of do it in a less cool way. But you notice I put the fins on there. That would be my recommendation. Use altimeters and fins. That's how you keep from, you know, it trying to roll you over, because if you go like, trying to go 90 here, I'm having issues with this. I don't know why it's misbehaving, but it is. If you go 90, it will try to roll you over, and so those fins will counteract that. So recommend that. Here, let's do this. See, my phone's blowing up for some reason. Just nonsense. Alright, so like I have the, let's see, this bunch of my azimuth drives need redoing. The best one was that barge that I can't seem to find. So this is the big dog. This is the big azimuth tug. This one hauls anything. So. But again, part of the issue I have is that the way I have to clutch these in, it's tough to get them to clutch in properly, so I need to work on them. Alright, sink thrust, okay. So this one has big azimuths on it. Read some chat while I'm here. Yeah, I'll have to look at fluid jets. That would be interesting sometime to kind of get better at it. All right, so these should be able to... Okay, so I'm synced up to port right now, so I need to desync my thrust. I need to desync my azipods as well. This was for a competition, so generally I don't... you know, I start everything desynced, but for the competition, this was for a Skunkworks. So like this ship here, you can push them both out. You know, and so this is what I was talking about. So like, see, like that one's getting hung up, which that sucks with when they do that, is that's getting hung up, and so it screws up your maneuvering. So like the tugs would go in opposition like this. So you see they're both pushing out, and you notice the tug stops motion. Now in real life, what you'd be able to do is rotate them both forward a little bit, and you would go backwards. And then, so what I can do is go forward. But if I went like this, you notice now we're going forward because I just gently push them forward. So the benefit of this is it allows you to keep your propeller spun up the entire time. They're always moving water, and at an instant you can move forward, you can move backwards, you can move forward, you can move backwards. You imagine like if you're working with a ship, how important that is. And then let's say I want to quickly rotate. I'm going to leave the port one where it is. I'm just turning the starboard one. And you can see, so both my propellers are spun up to max, and whenever I need power, I have it. And now I want to stop that rotation. Okay, I'm going to come back to match the port. And now we're forward again. Okay, I want us to stop. We both bring them to, you know, 90-90. We're stopped, and then in real life, again, I'd be able to rotate them forward. I could go backwards. I can't do that. And that screws up my azipods with the game, so I wish that would change. So like here we are moving forward again. So like I can't move backwards the way I should be able to. And then if I wanted to see IRL, what I'd do is I would push the starboard one 180 degrees from where it is now, and then I could traverse sideways. What I have to do here is stop. And then I have to bring starboard in reverse, port in forward. So I need to wait for them to speed up again now. I need to steer with my port. So I'm dragging port around, which again, you know, like I've checked the charts, and the charts, you know, work IRL, of course, but in game they don't really work that well. So I have to do different orientation than I do, you know, in game than I would in IRL. Are you in reverse? So like this is translating sideways. So I'm just steering with port now. So if I want to move, I steer with port. And we're going sideways now with the azipods. And so I just keep my heading moving the port one, and then the starboard is dragging me along to the side. And, you know, if we're translating backwards a little bit, I just want to increase port as well. So if we start to slide backwards, like you notice we're going directly sideways. So if we start to slide backwards, I can just increase my forward a little bit, and that will stop that from happening, or decrease my reverse. But it's kind of cool, these azipod tugs. They're just, you know, I like stand tugs, but these are just like so cool how, you know, you can do it. And plus, from a pilotage perspective, you know, I like operating the machinery. Like, I want something complex. Complex is interesting to me. Simple is not. So I want to actually have to move these. You know, like you could set up a microcontroller that moved them all in the right orientation. I'm not interested in that. I'm much more interested in doing it myself, you know. But this thing is, you know, this thing seems quote-unquote slow, but the benefit of this is the reason it's slow is it's geared properly to be a tugboat. So, for example, this can haul anything. You know, I pulled, who made it? Bibbo's oil drilling platform. This was, you know, a long time ago, but that thing is insanely huge. There's a picture of it. Let me see if I can find a picture of it, of this hauling that, because this thing is geared up for torque, you know, and so it's this hauls millions of pounds, no problem, of any sort of barge you put in front of this thing. You know, it's going to be slow. It's only going 12 knots. But it hauls anything, and that's the point of a tugboat. You know, most of the tugboats are going sub 10 knots because they have enormous propellers, and they are geared up so that they can, or geared down rather, for torque. And so, like, this will travel 12 knots with nothing. If I put in a barge, let's do this. Let's get a barge going. Try to find a big barge, put some water in there, or something. What I have for barges. Let's My heaviest. Oh, this is it right here. Powered barge is the one I was looking for that I couldn't find. This is probably my heaviest one here. Let's figure out what this is here. This is my heaviest barge, I think. How many of these do I have to click on? I don't want to fill it up. I'll grab a different barge. That one I have to manually go in and fill a bunch. So. This is my bigger one? This is my bigger barge here, so I can fill this one up quickly, I think. Let's just do seawater in there. So this one's pretty damn heavy as it is. Let me see what it has in it. You have nothing in you? How did I just put seawater in you and you have nothing in you? Probably because I didn't drag it. Yep, okay. Need to drag it to 100%. Alright. That should be heavy now. That's going to be heavy. So this is... what's that? 151,000 liters of water. So you figure it's, you know, was it a kilogram per liter? So not quite a million. I have a couple barges that will hold a million pounds of water. But, you know, so like you would, because this is geared properly to be a actual tow vessel, it's going to be slow, but it's going to have a huge amount of power. You know, you'll see some people, they'll build some super fast tugboats that go like 30 knots. Well, it doesn't have any power. You know, it's not going to be able to haul anything, which is fine if you're hauling just like one of the little boats and you want to get out there. But this sucker is designed to haul, you know, and it has an autopilot system. You know, I can set this to go up to the Arctic and go to bed, and it will make it through all this and get up there no problem. You know, let me just read some stuff. Yeah, I'd like to get an Azipod XML going at some point, or an Lua screen that shows both your thrust setting and your thrust setting and your Azipod position. But really, the devs, I would love it if they would put in a 360-degree pivot. You know, just in general, like we can do it with the velocity pivots with a PID, but they're not perfect. It'd be better if they just let us do 360 degrees and then 360-degree powers. People have been asking for that for a while. That'd be awesome. The ability to just like do an up-down. Keep it simple because the PID can screw up. Like I have that on my seat. So for example, where's my seat control? Here's my chair. I can go 360 degrees with this chair, but eventually it has issues. And if I center the chair, it wants to zoom around at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But you know, like the cool things I can do with this, you know, like what I should be able to do is move both of these Azipods forward to reverse myself. And so what I should be able to do is go like this, and I want to rotate us around, and then I should be able to put both of them in reverse and just back straight up. But I can't do that. I have to stop us like that, and then I have to put them, I have to reorient them, so I have to center the Azipod, and then I have to put them in reverse. You know, so that kind of, it takes more time than the real ones, you know. And so if I had those 360-degree Azipods, I could do that. So like now I'm steering with just port. You know, we're going to steer into this barge. You know, but this is the benefit of having the Azipods, is you can work in any direction really well, but they're not as good as they would be IRL. Yeah, and all it would take is that 360-degree pivot, and I could be able to set them up right. Alright, now we'll go down, hook that up really quick. So this is the type of tug that has the one winch in the middle, and you has the one winch in the middle, and you can either put it out forward and back. Of course, we don't have any pulleys, which would be nice. Pulleys would make it so that, you know, it could actually make it run properly, but whatever. Go back here, come on, man. It's not going to want to do it. I'm too far from it still. I forgot I have to get closer to even do it. All right. So I'll hook this back up here. I need to back up a little bit. I need to go up and touch it, essentially. And I need to work on that so it doesn't keep doing the restart. But I haven't touched this in a while. It'll be nice to get back into this. Now we have some money in the career build series. Starts making sense to do some of this bigger ship stuff. Alright, so where's winch out? So we're going to go forward. And so because we're going forward and I need to watch the barge, I would go 90 degrees like this. And now I can sit here sideways and steer, and I can look where we're going, and I can look there. That's kind of the point of the moving seat, is I can look at any direction I need to. Let the slack come up. But this sucker just laughs at, you know, that's a lot of weight. You know, it's what, 300-something thousand pounds plus the weight of the barge. You know, and we're doing 10 knots. So we lost 2 knots. You know, so that's the benefit of this being geared properly. Is it, you know, you add a lot of weight, it really doesn't change speed. If this was geared for speed, you know, I would add that in there, and it would drastically lose speed. But it's like, just laughs at this barge and can still do a good 10 knots, which is faster than, you know, a real tug would go with this. How's it going there, officer? Are all my correct lights on? Yeah, they are. Okay. I didn't see the front light. But it's, you know, it's kind of cool having these Azipod stuff, but, you know, really do need the 360-degree pivots to kind of make it worthwhile. All right, guys, I think I'm going to take a break here. Thank you for watching. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.